We will have pre-election coverage for you in just a moment, but first, it was a tense and dangerous situation in Auburn today.
Police evacuated a large area around the Auburn Mall today during an armed standoff, a standoff that ended just a short time ago. We have team coverage tonight, beginning with News 13's Steve Roldan, live from the scene. Steve?
Well, Kim, I can tell you that standoff ended about 4 o'clock this afternoon. It took place in the Shaw's parking lot right behind me, which is right next to the Auburn Mall. I can also tell you that things are slowly getting back to normal, as a lot of the businesses that were forced to shut down have since reopened. Now, this is what it looked like a little earlier today as the Maine State Police Tactical Unit was called in with negotiators. 45-year-old Randy Neuter was arrested and charged with theft and causing a standoff. Police tell us it all started at a nearby Walmart. They say Nutter tried to steal a purse from a woman in the store's parking lot. Nutter reportedly fled the scene and locked himself in his vehicle in the parking lot here at the Shaw store near the mall. Police evacuated the area because they say Nutter had a gun and was threatening to harm himself and other people. After more than 4 hours, he finally surrendered, but not after some tense moments for police.
Certainly threatening to harm himself. He was threatening to harm others, harming a police officer if they came towards his vehicle. So we knew that the imminent threat was there for him to bring harm to someone in the area. That's why we blocked the entire area, evacuated all the buildings surrounding it, just to ensure the safety of the public.
Now, police tell us right now they don't have a motive as to what caused this standoff. We are told that Nutter was taken to St. Mary's for a mental evaluation. He did freely surrender, and we're told that no one was injured in this case earlier today, so that's the good news. Now, obviously, this impacted a lot of people, and for that part of the story, I'm going to send it over to my colleague Marissa Bodner, who's been talking to people out there and continues our team coverage. And Marissa, what are you hearing from people who are impacted by this earlier today?
Yeah, Steve, Shaw's managers tell me this wasn't so much a scary situation as a huge inconvenience. They tell me about 35 employees and roughly 60 customers were taken out of the building's side entrance at about 12:30. The store was shut down until around 4 o'clock when Nutter surrendered. And also just across the parking lot, the Auburn Mall also shut down for several hours today. A general manager tells me about 100 employees were taken out of their stores and sent to the opposite end of the building, as far away from this parking lot as they could get. And for shoppers we talked to, for them, road closures were the biggest problem.
Yes, I was actually coming back from Turner and traffic was backed up, so I had, sitting in line for a good 20-30 minutes, just been backed up traffic, so it was pretty bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic, so it's hard to get over here. It took me a while, but I made it.
So hundreds impacted today in a variety of different ways. Some employees I talked to at JCPenney tell me that, again, not a scary situation. They just followed police orders, but definitely not your average day at work. For now, live in Auburn, Marissa Bodner, News 13. Back to you.
All right, glad it came to a safe conclusion, Marissa, and thanks, Steve, as well. Well, now to the issue gripping much of Maine and the nation. It is Election Eve.
Just hours to go before all that campaigning comes to a stop and the voters decide everything from control of the White House to control of the State House. News 13's Catherine Underwood is tracking the Get Out the Vote effort tonight. She joins us live in Westbrook. Those campaigns in overdrive tonight, Catherine.
Oh, Kim and Greg, it certainly is. The only way I can describe the anticipation and excitement in here is like athletes before the day of a really big game. It's busy here at the Victory Center. This is the volunteer wall, and these are the volunteers who will be making all of the calls tonight, and they will be doing that until about 8, and then they'll be doing it all day tomorrow until polls close. Now, the energy here is just as high as it was over at the Maine Democratic Party call center in Portland. Volunteers in both parties say their most important job is to make sure people get out and vote. So with just hours left until people do head out and hit the polls, we spoke to Maine's Deputy Secretary of State for some helpful tips before leaving your house.
Definitely find out where your polling place is first. If you're not registered to vote, you're going to want to bring proof of identity and where you live. So physical address where you're going to register to vote, so you can register tomorrow. You don't need to have a photo ID, but if you're registering tomorrow, you do need to have some form of identification.
Now, some polls open as early as 6 o'clock. Most of them open at 7, but make sure to check your local polling place for all of the exact times. But no matter where you are tomorrow, you will be able to cast your ballot until 8 tomorrow night. We're live in Westbrook tonight. Catherine Underwood, News 13. Kim, Greg, back to you.
A busy evening leading into a busy day, Catherine. Thanks.
Well, most people, as we know, follow the rules, but there are some folks who would try to swing this election in a certain way and do it illegally. That's why it's important to be on the lookout for voter fraud. If you do see something that doesn't seem right or look right, election officials are urging you to call this voter fraud hotline. The U.S. Attorney's Office putting out this number here in Maine. It's 207-262-4646. And be sure to tune in to News 13 on election night. We'll have full coverage from the polling places, from the campaigns, plus expert analysis and updated results as they come in all night long.
A judge will decide the fate of a man who police say killed an 81-year-old woman. The trial for 28-year-old Juan Contreras began today. He's accused of killing 81-year-old Grace Burton at her home in Farmington about a year and a half ago. The prosecution and defense presented their opening statements, and both sides agree that Contreras is responsible for Burton's death. However, his lawyers say he was high on bath salts that night and didn't know what he was doing. Prosecutors believe Contreras intentionally killed Burton.
He knew how to get in and out of that apartment. He knew to lie to his wife about what he had been doing that night and how he cut his hand. The defendant made conscious decisions that night that demonstrate that he is guilty of intentional or knowing murder.
Your Honor, there's one other piece of evidence, of course, that will be with us in this room this entire trial. You can't hear it and you can't see it, and that's, of course, the presumption of innocence. That applies not only to the acts that the state must prove, but also to the state of mind that the defendant must have had in order to be guilty of the offenses with which he is charged. Anybody who cared to see it.
Testimony will continue for the next few days. This is a trial by judge, not jury, so Judge Michael Murphy will decide whether Contreras is guilty.
A Casco woman is dead tonight after her minivan crashed head-on with a school bus in Bridgeton. This happened about 7 o'clock this morning on Route 302 between Kansas Road in Naples and Sandy Creek Road in Bridgeton. Police say a school bus carrying 3 teenagers was heading south when a minivan driven by 74-year-old Jacqueline Ingalls of Casco swerved into the bus's lane, colliding head-on. Ingalls was pronounced dead at the scene. The 3 teens and the bus driver suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still investigating what caused the woman to swerve.
The fate of the now famous or infamous labor mural taken down by Governor Paul LePage is in the hands of the First Circuit Court of Appeals tonight. A
group of Mainers demanding that the mural go back on display went to Boston today to ask the appellate court to overturn a lower court ruling which stated the governor was in his rights to take down that mural. The 11 panels of the mural depict various labor scenes from Maine's history, and plaintiffs say it's something you would expect to see in the Labor Department. The Maine's Deputy Attorney General Paul Stern told the court that government speech and messages can and do change from one administration to the next, and that the labor mural falls under that.
And over time, it can change that message with changes in administration, which is what happened here.
The governor said very clearly, I don't like the message of this mural, and that's why I'm having it removed.
The plaintiff's attorney there, Jeff Young, says the governor squashed free speech, and he calls that censorship. Deputy Attorney General Stern argued it is not free speech because plaintiffs want this mural and this mural alone hung at the Labor Department.
Now, your Weather Authority forecast.
All right, welcome back, everyone. What the heck happened in November, right? It's feeling like winter. It's feeling certainly like December today. High temps struggle to get out of the 30s, and most towns seeing their first snow showers and snow flurries of the season. There still are a few lingering snow showers back through the hills and mountains. Up on Mount Washington, it's been snowing there for a good chunk of the day. Heading back through the notches, Crawford Notch, one of those spots, heading into northern Carroll and Coos County, Oxford, Franklin, and Somerset County, seeing more on and off snow showers as well. This will continue for the next several hours. Now, downslope of the mountains, skies have cleared out nicely. With the clearing skies, temps are going to cool off pretty quickly. Tomorrow looks to be a brighter day, so election day, we're in good shape. Coastal areas tomorrow, I expect highs in the lower 40s, which is still 10 degrees below normal, but again, brighter skies will return. Mostly sunny skies return for many inland towns, but in the mountains, look at this, 36. That's your high temperature tomorrow. I expect mostly sunny skies for the entire region. Notice these clouds are breaking up here in the northeast. There's a little wedge of high pressure trying to build in, but our next storm system, well, of course, all eyes are on that. It's in its infant stages this evening, heading back into the Mississippi River Valley, heading down to the deep south. And the reason I mention this is going to strengthen offshore during the daylight hours tomorrow evening into Wednesday. Then it's going to ride north and be our next nor'easter, and the time frame for that will be Wednesday night into Thursday. My initial thoughts on this: if we see any sleet, freezing rain, or snow at the coastline, it will be a brief period. We should quickly change over to rain, and that will be Wednesday night. Many inland towns will see a more prolonged period of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. The other concern will be wind. Wind at the coastline could gust over 40 miles per hour. Here we are at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're out of the gates with temps in the 20s. Tomorrow's going to be a bright day. Unlike today, we'll have mostly sunny skies. Temps again struggling to get much above 40 degrees. Lower 40s should do it for your highs tomorrow. It will be a little bit breezy, but not nearly as windy as today, of course. Today, of course, was a little bit breezy as well. I expect wind gusts 10 to 15 miles per hour. Nothing too extreme. 8 o'clock in the morning Wednesday, we're starting with some sun. I think we're out of the gates Wednesday with mostly sunny conditions, but fading sun during the course of the day. Our next storm, this is that nor'easter we've been telling you about, and really no major changes from our thoughts last week on this one. If we see any snow, sleet, or freezing rain, it's going to change over to rain pretty quickly. This 9 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday, and notice this model is suggesting we all start as rain, but look at the temperatures here. Borderline. We could go either way with these temps by a few degrees and be talking about an entirely different scenario. Now, the cold air is going to try to hang on over inland areas a little bit longer. This 1 o'clock in the morning. Snow, sleet, freezing rain continues in the mountains. We see rain here at the coast. This 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, the wind could occasionally gust over 40 miles per hour. Lows tonight in the 20s. It's going to be cool tomorrow. I expect highs in the 40s, lower 40s on Wednesday as well. Now, Wednesday itself should be an okay day. It's more so Wednesday night that we see rain and wind move into the area. That continues into Thursday. Inland areas, the major difference, you hold on to a little wintry mix a little bit longer. And we could be talking about several inches of snow in a few spots in the mountains, and we could be talking like a prolonged period of freezing rain in the mountains as well. So that's something we need to monitor at the coastline. It's probably wind gusts over 40 miles per hour that will lead headlines Wednesday night.
I would think so.
Yes.
Power outages possible then, I guess.
Yeah, possible, yes.
If any trees are left.
That's it.
Exactly.
The good news, I don't expect the wind that we had last week. So, yeah, I know. It's like it's a storm every week now, right?
No kidding. Tomorrow looks great. Easy to get around, though.
Yes, tomorrow looks nice.
Thanks, Charlie.